What's up guys, this is Chronic Rush and welcome to the 5th episode of my FIFA 14 World Cup Squad Builder series, where I'm basically going out to build all the squads for all the participating teams in the World Cup in the summer of 2014. And I've already completed a squad for Cameroon, Australia, Japan and Costa Rica. And now we're moving on to Honduras in Group E, I do believe it is. Not too sure off the top of my head what other nations are in that group. But I think they've got a fairly hard group, I want to say. Let's get into the team. Unfortunately, I'm going to say this at the start. There is no goalkeeper in the on FIFA 14 for the Honduras national team. So I'll kind of talk to it a bit when we get to that point. But we're going to be playing the 4-1-4-1 formation, which at first was okay for me playing in it. But then I seemed to get a bit worse, and it was okay actually in this squad. I wasn't looking too much forward to using the squad because of the 4-1-4-1. It worked well with the players I had capable to build the squad, but sometimes it just doesn't work, especially with a bit of not a lot of pace in the middle, which I didn't have. I didn't have too much pace in the middle, especially on the wings either. So that's one of the main problems, and with low rated players it doesn't help either. But basically when I have a team, I think there's another couple of squads without keepers. I'm basically going to add up all the basically find the average of the players' ratings and then find a suitable goalkeeper to go and fill into that spot. So basically I added up all the players' ratings and got to 69, I do believe, or something around that mark. And I went up pick up Jakovic, the whole keeper, and you understand a bit later why. So let's ignore that and let's move on. So I'm just going to take him out of the squad here. But that was the keeper I actually used in the game. But moving on to our right back. Before I do that, I'm just going to quickly put Honduras as one of the perimeters here, just to make sure we get all the players. Honduras here, the first player I have a right back is a bronze player under the name of Najar, plays for Anderlecht in the Belgian Pro League, and this guy's got 4-star skill moves as a right back, so that's why his cost around 700 coins. As you can see there, 4-star skill moves, 4-star weak foot, and he just did the job down in that right back position. Didn't get too far up the field, even though he had a high attacking right, and his pace not the strongest to be honest, but he did get this main aspect of this squad is pace. Moving on to the two centre-backs here, the first player we're going to have here is the in-form Figueroa, 77 pace, with the central chemistry style, 79 defending, 75 heading. There is a second in-form of him, however, that is as a left-back, but he cost me 17,000 coins, and this guy's an absolute tank at the back, very, very good player indeed, and he's going to be paired up with this player here, Bernardes, plays for San Jose Earthquakes in the MLS, and he's a slow option at the back, still very, very solid indeed, very strong player, 75 defending, 75 heading as well, but his pace does let him down. And moving on to the left back here, we have Izagui, plays for Celtic in the SBL, and this guy here, a bit more pace than the right back, 80 pace, 71 defending, 71 heading, 4-star weak foot as well, and it cost me 1,500 coins and just a fairly solid left back and works quite well in the defence. But as you can see here, there's two very, very slow players in defence you don't really want, so that ultimately made it fairly hard to keep up with very pacey strikers. Moving on to the CDM, we're going to have here Palacios, the Stoke player, plays 70 rated CDM player. He's got 58 pace, again very, very slow pace indeed, but the rest of the stats are in the 70s apart from his shooting, which you don't really need in that CDM role. Held it quite well, but I didn't find him too tall. I'm not too sure of his actual height, 5'10". I felt like he did get out jumped quite a bit in that middle, which is probably the only downfall of that player, as well as his pace. Moving on to the right mid, we've got two options here. The first player I was mainly using throughout the squad is Chavez here. Plays for San Jose Earthquakes, 69 rated, 85 pace, 63 shooting, 75 dribbling, 5-star weak foot, 3-star skill moves. And he was the highest amount of pace player in this whole squad I had. Also Garcia there plays for Houston Dynamo. He had a bit less pace, a higher rating. He was I was just rotating him around and using him in there when I was going for a bit fitness. But Chavez did the job out on that right hand side. Moving on to the left mid, one of the slower players of the squad you wouldn't expect, Martinez. Again, plays for San Jose Earthquakes. 69 pace on the left mid is not too good whatsoever, especially when someone has a high attacking and defensive work rate, because they're either up the top top or just sitting there in the defence. No, sorry, they're mainly sitting in the defence or just running everywhere, and they just can't keep up with the play. And nothing much else to talk about this guy. Probably one of the worst players of the squad. Moving on to the two centre mids, we're going to first play here is Espinosa, the Wigan centre mid. 73 pace, which isn't too bad. 73 defending. Look at those stats though. 73 rated overall. 5-star weak foot. Very, very good, solid player indeed. Again, didn't get too much use out of him in the sense that I was trying to go for shots and stuff like that with him. Thought he could have a fairly decent shot on him. But he's still fairly solid in that centre mid spot. Moving on to the other centre mid, we've got a player who actually played as a cam, which is Nunes. Plays for FC Dallas in the MLS. This guy's 79 pace, so a bit faster option. 68 rated overall. And I found this guy a lot more solid than Espinosa. I think it may be because he just ran into better places, better positioning, and sometimes it just felt very, maybe because of his cam attacking style, he just felt very, very good and helping up the striker, which is this guy here. Up front, we're going to have Bankston, plays for Real Salt Lake. No, sorry, New England Revolution, I think it is. Yep. He's got 72 pace, so again, not fast whatsoever. 67 rated, so not the highest rated striker either. Fairly tall, which is probably his only strong side of him. Decent dribbling and a decent shot indeed. But as you can see, let me quickly run through the pace. We got 77 there, which not too bad. Figueroa is 77. So Figueroa is one of the faster players in this squad here. Then we got 1, 2, 3, 4... about 5 players maybe with low pace, which isn't too good, especially when you've got your strikers and your wingers with slow pace and one of your centre backs, which isn't the strongest. But guys, that is the squad there. Not the best squad. I've played about 7 games maybe. It would have been better if everyone had, I know it sounds stupid, everyone had like all the players, really slow players, had about 5 extra pace on them, in the sense that if I had a different centre-back, I think the defence would be fairly solid. Left mid, he was okay, but he just wasn't, it just felt very sluggish. Striker, I definitely needed a stronger striker. I didn't feel he set up to the task of the squad here. Palacios either too small, and Najar, I'm not too sure. He just wasn't the strongest player on that right side. Maybe because he was bronze, coming against the gold teams in the divisions isn't the best way. But guys, that is the squad. They'll have a couple of goals and stuff like that towards the end of the episode. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Guys, this is the squad, and I'll speak to you in a bit. Okay, so we are now in the goals part of this episode for the World Cup Honduras squad. And this squad felt a lot more stronger than the Costa Rican one I did previously episode. I'm not too sure why, because obviously the players, there's not as many high-rated players in the squad. But I think it is all the way down to just how the players will work rates and stuff like that. They seem to look a lot more suited to it, and the formation seemed a lot more suited to the players. Obviously, not having a lot of pace, I want a lot of people to be able to pass to, and I need to maintain a lot of possession. So the 4-1-4-1 formation seems to work extremely well in that case, especially having a CDM just to protect the back four. Fairly strong, obviously in form. Figueroa, what else you want? That magician at the back is absolutely tanky. Bernardes, I think it is, he player, not the fastest, but he can win headers. Very, very good defender indeed. The two fullbacks, obviously you got bronze one. He did the job, not the fastest of players, but still did the other job. And our left back, I do believe, he was fairly solid there. Probably the weakest place would be the left hand side, as well as the striker. Striker not being the high rated, he scored some fairly nice goals. Nunes here, the centre attacking mid player I had, he was a very, very strong player, not the highest rated card, but he was fairly flairful, decent amount of dribbling, capability, and the ball stayed to his feet, and he scored some fairly nice easy finishes. Benston, the striker, some goals finishes were absolutely amazing. No one's going to save them. Sometimes I miss shots like point blank, which I would normally score with any other striker. It would come off the woodwork or something absolutely ridiculous. So that was kind of frustrating. But Chavez on the right, not too bad. Again, you just want a bit of pace there. Espinosa, this guy, fairly solid player, but his pace, I was expecting a bit more. Obviously, I think he has 73 pace or something like that. I was expecting him to be a bit more sharper and be able to stay away from players. But he seems to be able to get caught up by a majority of players, sometimes like players who you wouldn't expect. So that was the only problem. Munez there with another fantastic finish, as you can see on the screen. Goalkeeper, I do believe, obviously we didn't have one, so I did the... I kind of did the one you saw in my squad builder earlier on. I'm going to do that for all the other nations I have no keeper for, which is kind of unfortunate, but obviously Honduras not being one of the larger nations out there with the, you know, one of the higher rated international squads. But guys, as you can see there, that's the last goal, and it's coming to the end of this episode. Overall, this squad, I'd give it probably about 7 out of 10. I felt a lot more stronger than the Costa Rican squad. I'm not too sure what is going on with that squad, though. I think it was mainly because just how I set it up and stuff like that. But guys, this comes to the end of the episode. If you'd like to, remember to hit the like button. Also remember to subscribe to stay tuned to the series, and any feedback in the comments would be much appreciated, guys. Make sure you stay in for next episode, which is going to be the United States of America. Some very, very good plays in that, guys. But this has been Chrono Rush. Till next time, adios.